Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
Hi, this is Peter Van Roosbroeck at Lopos. You're listening to the New Warehouse podcast. The safety tip that we would like to share with you today is mostly about the governance. Basically, if a company wants to introduce safety, whether it be governance in the warehouse or technology introduction, we feel it's really important to get users adoption, meaning that they really need to understand why this is important to them, how they benefit, and the company benefits.
Does your warehouse waste time and money managing forklift batteries? Enersys can energize your operations with a customized solution, delivering the power you need while minimizing ownership costs. Enersys starts by analyzing your operations and then selecting from their comprehensive range of battery and charger technologies, develops a truly optimized system tailored to your needs. Enersys gives you the power to increase productivity and profitability. See how Enersys puts power in motion for you at Enersys.com. With e-commerce off the charts, many small and growing warehouses are asking, how can I get ahead when my warehouse is barely keeping up? The answer is future-ready warehouse tech from Zebra Technologies. Warehouses can simplify and upgrade all processes, from automated inventory management to hands-free picking, with Zebra's tailored, scalable mobile solutions. They're simple and intuitive. There's never been a better time to upgrade for success with Zebra. How can your warehouse get ahead? The answer's in black and white. Get the answers at zebra.com/theanswer. That's zebra.com/theanswer. Businesses are retooling fulfillment operations, from warehouses to omnichannel, to meet new demand amid unprecedented labor shortages. 3PLs, retailers, B2B distributors, and others are turning to flexible fulfillment solutions like 6 River Systems to adapt and scale. 6 River Systems' Fulfillment Execution System is an integrated solution that combines intelligent, cloud-based software and automation, including its autonomous mobile robot, AMR, Chuck. No costly or disruptive infrastructure changes, fast and easy associate training, and integrations with other warehouse execution solutions allow operations to meet labor challenges, increase efficiency, and enhance customer engagement. Go to www.6river.com to learn more. Go to www.6river.com to learn more.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, this is Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. On today's episode, I am going to be joined by Peter Van Roosbroeck, who is the Chief Commercial Officer at Lopos. And Lopos is bringing technology to the warehouse environment to help prevent forklift collisions with pedestrians. And they're utilizing different technology to be able to help prevent these collisions and give more awareness to a pedestrian and their surroundings regarding forklifts and other equipment. So we're going to hear about how their technology works, why is it so important for the marketplace, and how do we see the safety technology segment growing within our industry. So Peter, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Thank you for having me, Kevin. Really pleased to be on the show today. Lopos is a company that started in 2019. Basically, we are a spin-off of the University of Ghent.
Okay.
And the company has been, since 2019, involved in trying to find a better solution and reinvent the market for proximity warning solutions out there for the warehouse. Our founders have a vast experience in using different radio technologies to measure proximity. And that's the reason why we decided in 2019 to bring new and innovative solutions out there to the market for the warehouse space.
Very interesting. And so you said the founders have a lot of experience with the radio technology, right? So with that experience, why did they choose to take that technology and utilize it in this manner?
It's an interesting question. We actually started with a solution to fight the pandemic. During COVID-19, we produced wearables that would measure the proximity between people and then provide some contact tracing for large organizations to keep their operations going. As a result of that, we obviously knew that this was an ending opportunity, as we all hoped. And then we decided to talk to our existing clients and to do some research and understand from customers where they wanted us to take the technology to the next level. This is how we basically got in touch with the warehouse space and a few partners out there who introduced us to their clients in order for us to understand their needs. That was basically the starting point for us to build the proximity warning solution for the warehouse space.
Very interesting. So I guess it sounds like it started from COVID, trying to keep the social distancing, I guess, and then it kind of, I guess there was a light bulb that we could use this in different ways as well with the forklifts. Is that kind of the progression there?
That's correct. It's basically a natural evolution of using the same technology in a people-to-people context and now bringing it to a people-to-machine context.
Very interesting. So obviously, there's a lot of issues in the warehousing industry, we'll say, regarding forklift collisions, and driving a forklift is no different than operating a car, right? So there's accidents that happen and things of that nature. So there's different things in place out there that can help you to prevent this, and people are addressing it in different ways. One way is taking operators off the forklift and automating forklifts instead, but we're not at the point of going 100% automated, right? We're far off from there. So tell us a little bit about how Lopos actually works, and what it's like to set that up in a warehouse, and how an operation will start to utilize the technology.
Sure. Basically, Kevin, today there's quite some technologies out there that do proximity warning, even before Lopos came into the marketplace. I think basically it's fair to say that most of those solutions today, they need a line of sight. So they need to be able to look or see an individual in proximity to an asset or to a vehicle. That's a different thing with Lopos. So we use radio technology, we use ultra-wideband radio technology, which is extremely precise and also extremely accurate, but doesn't have the requirement to have line of sight. So basically we can see people coming through aisles and corners where basically other technologies cannot have this line of sight. I think that's one particular aspect to the technology that we are implementing. I think secondly, other solutions can do proximity warning. However, not all of them are able to provide data points. So Lopos is able to provide digital twins of every incident or near incident that took place, and then feed those data insights into the education and training aspect of a warehouse, where we see that senior leadership is looking for improvements on training and education, also to complement on regulations that are in place. And by providing those data insights, Lopos is really complementing those inputs to improve on training and education.
Interesting. Yeah. And I think it's interesting that you mentioned there the ability to see the pedestrians and things without being in the line of sight. Because when you look at a warehouse or a fulfillment center, typically there's a lot of blind spots. There's a lot of blind corners, right? You look in, especially in the racking when you're coming through, where there's a tunnel, there's product in the rack. It's hard to see through that and really be able to see what's there. And I know in my experience as a warehouse manager, we've tried all different kinds of things, putting up mirrors to see around the corner and all these things, but it's difficult to be able to tackle that and really see what's around that corner. So the fact that you're able to bring this technology and know that something is there without necessarily being able to see it yet, I think is a big step, and I think that's a great thing. So the digital twin technology, I'm very interested to hear more about that. So you're able to almost, it sounds like if there is an incident, you're able to almost see the incident again virtually. Am I interpreting that the right way?
Yeah, that's the correct interpretation, Kevin. I think the dashboard or the insights that Lopos offer, they come in, in three different steps. First of all, the client can configure the technology online, so there is no physical interaction between the technology and the client to do configuration changes, distance settings, alarm types, and so forth. That's the first step. The second step is, or the second point is that we can do firmware updates on the technology as we evolve and introduce new features and functions. And then thirdly, there is the digital twin or insights into each and every event. So basically, when somebody is in close proximity with somebody else or an asset, we can then provide details on the duration of the event, the speed of both actors during the event, the responsiveness to their alarms. All of that will be available as a digital twin with detailed insights for those organizations to then take away, have a conversation when really an incident happened between two individuals, and also take away those incidents and categorize them to improve on education and training or to report during quarterly or yearly business reporting.
Very interesting, and I think that's a huge thing too. There's not only the prevention aspect of safety, but then there's when something does happen, and obviously we hope that nothing will happen, but it's inevitable. If we look at safety statistics out there, accidents happen. It's just the nature of things. There's the prevention side, but then there's also the aftermath of what do you do to ensure that something like that never happens again. So you need to really root cause and determine that. And just like we talk about, in the warehouse, there's a lot of blind corners, visibility is a little difficult because of things going on. You can't necessarily have cameras everywhere to see everything that happens. And a lot of times when these accidents do happen, in my experience, it happens somewhere where it is like a blind area, and you don't necessarily have visibility to there to be able to put a camera in any type of strategic position to be able to see what happened. So you're going off the word of the operator that did it, and a lot of times the operator doesn't want to get in trouble, so maybe they're not going to be 100% honest with you on what happened. But the ability to be able to now have that digital twin and get these insights from the technology, I think is a huge thing in the step towards being able to really drill down and root cause the cause of the accident and be able to address that. And how do we make that intersection or that corner or that area of the warehouse safer for either pedestrians or for the forklift operators, for everybody involved, and how do we take that next step? So I think it's really great that you guys have not only developed a preventative measure, but then on the back end, an ability to be able to root cause better as well. So, in that sense, I'm curious with the companies that have started to adopt this technology from you guys. How have you seen the reception, and what are some of the results you're seeing from them in terms of safety incident reduction?
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days, because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
It's an interesting question, Kevin. So I fully agree with you on the fact that today when incidents happen and people gather info on what happened, basically we have a conversation with the operator and the other person involved. Yeah. And often the response is, I didn't see it. I didn't see you coming.
Yeah.
So we need to realize that people driving forklifts or operators, they have a lot on their hands. They're driving a couple of ton forklift. They're doing their work. It's not just easy for them to be aware of everything that's happening in the surroundings.
Right.
That's first of all why Lopos has decided to provide also a wearable on the side of the pedestrian, let's say, so that both sides of the equation are alarmed, and that also a part of the responsibility can be with the pedestrian itself. At least he can get warnings and has the time or the ability to react. So we've seen from the implementation with clients and during pilot phases and trials that due to the fact that the solution is quite simple, we have one beacon that sits on a forklift. It's an all-in-one solution. You get visual alarms, you get sound alarms, and then we have the wearable on the pedestrian side. Makes the solution easy. So there's no particular things that the operator needs to do to lock in or lock out. It's all kind of seamless and automatic, as such that he gets warnings when it's necessary. So we also spent a lot of time in avoiding false alarms. We provide directional alarms based on the direction and movement of the forklift. We will always try to provide relevant alarms rather than the ones that would be irrelevant. Yeah. So the feedback has been positive so far, in the sense that there is no things that they need to look at inside their cabin. There is no cameras or no displays or stuff like that they need to be looking at before something happens.
Right.
They will get warnings based on light or 360 LED. They will get warnings based on sound, and they can also have a vibration on the wrist, so that there's really no way out of having been warned in a sensitive situation or incident. Secondly, we also provide at the same time a solution, Kevin, that is preventing collisions between forklifts and assets. So we've actually explored not only vehicles to people, but also vehicles to assets. And typically that's the gates of a warehouse.
Okay.
So they get bumped into by drivers who didn't know that the gate was open or not open yet. And all of that stuff we're also solving with our gate control function, which is basically the same principle. It's not, between a vehicle and a person, but between a vehicle and a gate. Or between a vehicle and a vehicle. So the use cases that Lopos covers today is really pedestrian, forklift to forklift, and forklift to gate.
Okay. All right. Interesting. And I think that, being able to expand that to almost, everything that you could potentially run into, I think is a good thing, just so you have that awareness. And obviously, like you said, I think an interesting thing there that you touched on is that there's no screen or anything that they need to be watching or looking at in order to realize that there's an alert, which I think is a really good thing, because that can be distracting in itself. So having that, just like the light system and the sound system, I think is a great thing. So with that being said, with the device itself, what does it take to install this? Can it be put on any type of forklift, or is it brand specific? How does the setup work?
Yeah, it's really non-brand specific. I think that's the reason why we decided to build this, is that that clients can use this on any brand, any type of fork truck. We have a distance range between 15 centimeters and 30 meters. So the size of the truck can be quite significant. The distance measurement or the distance settings to provide alarms can be, again, up to 30 meters, which is allowing us to include braking distance of the vehicle. If the vehicle would be moving at 5 or 10 miles an hour, we can see it coming even before it's at the person or at the gate. Okay. So that's one point. From an installation perspective, it takes basically 2 zip ties. The 2 zip ties, they mount a bracket in and the beacon will slide into the bracket. All the wearables, they work out of the box. So without exaggeration, I think it takes about 10 minutes to mount it on a forklift. Then, of course, you would need to find a way to power it to either the battery of the forklift or to a telematic solution that you would have in place, or a fleet management solution. We can tie into those as well, which makes the installation to get power of the battery a bit more easy. So I would say the first time maybe 20 minutes, but then it's a 10-minute job basically to mount it on a forklift or to switch it from one forklift to the other. And on the wearable side, it's just out of the box. They will just power on and you're able to use them. So the fact that it's that easy to mount and use is also a benefit to all the dealerships and the distribution partners that we look for, because obviously those people, they want to be able to install it in a fairly short amount of time with less complexity, and also know that they can configure the solution for their customers and manage it in an online world rather than a physical interaction to update the technology from time to time.
Very interesting. And obviously, a 10-minute installation, I think, is a great thing to prevent what could be a serious incident from happening, right?
Yeah. We have seen competitive solutions out there that require 4 to 6 components on the fork truck and then one wearable on the pedestrian side. With 4 to 6 components, it's obviously easy to understand that it takes half a day or 3/4 of a day to install all of these components, let alone reinstalling them on another fork truck. So that makes the intervention of a technician or a dedicated party more required than putting the Lopos solution on there. We've even seen customers doing it themselves, as they have a few folks that are handy. I think it's also good to mention, given that the data points of Lopos can be integrated with any fleet management solution out there. So if the client has 23 sites or many different locations, it's really easy by using the open APIs of the Lopos dashboard to integrate them into their overall fleet management solution. Could be a fleet management solution including telematics or any other type of fleet management solution. Then they can integrate those Lopos data points into their overall dashboard, which makes it again easier to use and consume.
Very interesting stuff, and I love the fact that it's addressing the safety issues, and then it's also creating these data points like you mentioned, and we talked about earlier, that you can utilize to root cause and really come up with additional preventative measures besides just using the Lopos technology, because it may be something that it's just the placement of an asset or the placement of a product or something may just be in a dangerous position, or a position that's not that great for maneuverability for the forklift itself. So I think what you guys are doing in this complete suite of not only just, preventative measures, but then also actions on the other side, I think is a great thing. So as we look at this, obviously the safety technology marketplace is something that's, I think, growing in this space. And, we look at some of the things that are going on there. I know that recently Amazon had, released some information, or there was an article about the number of injuries and safety incidents that happen at Amazon. And it's pretty staggering, I will say. Yep. But there was also some information that came out. I want to say this was last year in the fall, or maybe the beginning of this year, where there was the letter from the CEO talking about they're going to be investing a lot of money into safety technology as well. So how do you think the safety technology segment of our industry will continue to grow in the next few years?
Well, of course, it's driven by the number of incidents and accidents that still happen. So there's been regulation out there for quite a while. Yeah. I think the regulators are more and more open to see technologies becoming part of the solution rather than just education and training. Also, some regulators are imposing fines on companies if things happen and they didn't have some preventive measures in place. I think that's also an aspect. I think the market for safety technology is growing year over year, driven again by over 118 deaths in North America alone per year. The costs of such an event to a company is really huge. I think it was over $100,000 per incident. Maybe not in every case, but at least when we speak to clients, they always come to us, Kevin, and they say, we recently had an incident or a few situations that we rather not have. And when you start asking questions about what was that exactly and what is the consequence, often it comes down to, first of all, somebody was hurt. Secondly, the result of the company is that this person is out of a job, or at least, on leave for, a period of 6 months up to a year.
Yeah.
And those are really the economic downsides. They need to find solutions. Then you have the use case of gate control, where we heard numbers of, hundred thousands of damage control, where basically when a gate is bumped into, there's a cost of approximately $5,000 to $10,000 per gate.
Yeah.
And then the gate, of course, is out of use, so it needs to be fixed quickly. So the cost of maintenance to get it repaired in a very short amount of time is really huge. So I think there's both economic benefits and, of course, safety benefits, and for the companies that makes them invest and makes them want to reduce those numbers year over year, because also the way they measure it and need to report on it is becoming different from the last years. Last years, they didn't really need to report on those incidents as much as they need to do right now.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's very interesting points there, because it's so important that we continue to make sure that our workplaces are safer. And some of the numbers you put out there, when you think about it, I guess from an average a person's perspective, you may not think about the number of safety incidents that are occurring, but when you put some numbers to it, like you said, 118 deaths related to warehousing forklift incidents in North America in a year. I mean, that's a lot, actually, when you think about that. And we shouldn't have to have people go to work and be at risk of not coming home from work. I mean, it's something that we should be able to prevent, especially with the technology that we have out here. So it'd be great to see how the segment continues to grow and the technology expands, and how you guys at Lopos continue to help people to prevent those incidents and help to reduce those numbers. And I think what you guys are doing is a great thing. So I appreciate it, I'll say, from the industry perspective. So it's been great to learn about Lopos and talk to you, Peter, and hear more about this technology that you guys are putting into the marketplace. If people are interested in Lopos and want to learn more information, how can they do that?
Well, first of all, they can obviously find us online. Secondly, we are growing fast. We're based in Belgium, in Ghent.
Okay.
Our business model is indirect, so we look for the distribution partners. The one thing that we're really proud of is that we continue to talk to customers, people who want to deploy it, and then really bring them in touch with either their existing partners or find new ones. We've been very fortunate to find great partners in North America, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, but still looking for more, mainly in Europe. So, I think it's a good time for us to be in the market today. I think we can solve a problem that the customers really want to solve, and our business model is indirect, because obviously it's very difficult for Lopos to scale if we would do this all by ourselves.
All right. Very interesting. And definitely we'll share more information about Lopos at thenewwarehouse.com. So, Peter, thank you once again for your time on the show today.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.